Watch this. We're going to come across to Airtable. We've got 3 example videos here, each 5 seconds long. We want to merge together. All we need to do is press merge videos. This is then going to start our process for us. We're going to go through and combine these videos in a matter of seconds. As we can see here, it's now going through, downloading and storing that video. So if we come back across to Airtable, let's check it out and see what we got. But let's take it one step further. Now we've got an audio track that we also want to merge with that video. What we're going to do is come back and just trigger our workflow in the background. Now we're going to say merge audio. As before, it's going to go through and start adding that audio over the top of our video so that we've then merged it together absolutely seamlessly within a matter of seconds. As you can see here, it's made the changes. We're now going through, downloading that video and storing it into Airtable. So now if we come through and check it out, let's see what we got. So there we go, that was absolutely fantastic. Most creators are having to pay between £20 to £50 per month to be able to merge clips together just like that. But actually, there's a fantastic open source tool that we're able to use called FFmpeg. In this video, I'm going to show you how we've set up this n8n workflow to be able to make these changes on autopilot. We're going to cover how to merge all of these videos together, as well as how to merge audio over the top of video as well. But this is just the start when it comes to FFmpeg. And if you want to get access to the blueprint straight away, make sure to come across to our community, come into the classroom section, and you'll be able to find it nice and easily along with hundreds of other templates and connect with like-minded people all around AI and automation. So first things first, what are the different elements we're going to be using? Well, this platform here is called n8n and it enables us to automate many different processes. They've got hundreds and hundreds of different connectors to make this all run seamlessly in the background. Definitely check out all the other videos I've got on the channel if you're interested in automating more processes. What we're then using is a platform called Fal.ai, which is used by lots and lots of large companies in the world, and it's got lots of different options for us to be able to use. But more importantly, we're able to use FFmpeg as an API within here. If you're wondering how much this costs, as we can see down here, it's literally going to be $0.0002 per second, so incredibly cheap. We also cover how to run it locally in a different video. But what is FFmpeg? Well, it's an open source platform that's the fundamentals to lots of different video combining, clipping, compressing platforms out there. But one of the main challenges with it is if we come through to documentation, is it's got hundreds and hundreds of different ways that you're able to use it, which can be quite overwhelming for beginners. You need to know all of the different commands to be able to run it and execute it and get the outputs that you want. And that's why we're looking at how to run it with Fal.ai today, because we're simply able to use these nice, easy commands through an API request to trigger our processes. So if we come back across, what's the first step that we've got for merging our videos? We're going to be using a web hook, as this is going to enable us to send data between our Airtable in here, which is where we're storing all the video titles, the separate videos we want to merge, the audio clips as well. What we need to do within our Airtable is we need to set it up with these different columns. The main ones to be taken note of are these button ones here, which you can fully customize to whatever you want. In here, you'll see that we've got a URL that we need to update. That is what our webhook URL is. This is going to enable us to send the data back and forth between Airtable and n8n nice and easily. So make sure to copy your very own webhook URL and just to come through and update it in here. What we're also saying within our Airtable is the data we want to be passed across is the specific record ID. The reason for that is because each of these rows within Airtable is going to have its own unique ID so that we can call it back to use. If we come back across, what we'll then see is if I get rid of that spare webhook, is we're then going through and updating our status. So I'll just pin the previous example so we can see exactly what happened. So as you can see, if I close this down, we've got the ID of this specific record being passed across. We're then going through and using Airtable, which is a fantastic platform for storing lots of different data. What we need to do is if we come into here, make sure that we've got our account connected. If you want to learn how to do that, we've got an entire module within Setup here, and it walks you through how to get set up with Airtable. Once you've got it all connected, you need to make sure that we're doing a record and update a base. I've called mine FFmpeg, as we can see here at the top, and our table is table 1. This way we can now come down and based on update, we're changing that status from not actioned to in progress. We're going to pull across the record ID from our body that was going to be sent across from our webhook. So now if I do execute step, what we'll see in the background is this should now update to be in progress instead. And there we go. If you've not used Airtable before, make sure to do Airtable, and then we're doing update a record as the command. You're able to add it in nice and easily. Then what we're doing is, as you'll see within our data that's outputted, is we've got all of the different URLs for each of the videos that we've stored in this separate video column. So what we need to do is able to extract them so we can pass them across to Fal.ai. We're going to use a code module in here, which is going to go through, extract all of the URLs for us, and then simply put it into a nice long string text array so that we can then use this in Fal.ai. Now, an array is basically lots of different items clumped together. So for example, we've got URL 1, as you can see here. We then, if we come down, we should have URL 2, as you can see here. And then we've got URL 3 in here. So it's listing them together for us to be able to use. If we come out of here, we're then going to be using a HTTP request module to pass the data across into Fal.ai and trigger our process. First of all, we're going to merge the videos together, so I'll include the link down below so you can find it nice and easily. If you've already got an account on Fal.ai, you just need to come up, search for FFmpeg, and then you'll see we've got a few different options of merging videos, loud norm, extracting frames, merging audio, waveform, metadata, and composed. We're going to come across to our API request though, and as you'll see in here, we've got the ability to submit a request. This is where, if we come back across, we've already got it updated in this request here. So we're asking it to go through and merge some videos together with this specific part. We've added our API key in here, which you'll find if you come across. You just need to come back across to the home page to manage an API keys. And then as you can see here, we've got one created, or you could generate one and you just bring that across. So now we're authenticated, what we're going to be sending across. Well, in here, this is the body of information we're telling Fal.com to use. So we've got the string of the different URLs from Airtable in here. We're saying we want the FPS to be 30 frames per second, and we want the resolution to be landscape with 16:9. You can have lots of different customizations with this. If you come down to the API documentation, as you'll see here a bit further down, we've got all of the different options for audio, URL, file name, bitrate, keyframe. There's lots and lots of different ones in here you're able to use to customize all of the different video outputs that you want. So definitely read through that, check out what you need, but for many of you starting off, this will be more than enough. One of the features I love about n8n is we can see all of that data on the right hand side for what's going to be passed across to Fal.ai. As mentioned, this is only going to cost us $0.0002 per second, so it's going to be incredibly cheap to run. Each of our videos is going to be 5 seconds, so that means it's 5 times 0.0002, which is going to equate to $0.001 to run. So we're able to execute this step, and now we're going to get all of this information returned on the right hand side. This has started the process within Fal.com, so what we need to do is first of all wait perhaps 5 seconds just before we check the status. The reason for this is because it's going to give it a chance to go through and complete the generation before we check how it's got on. We're using the second part here, which if I come down, is the submit request HTTP, as you can see here. What this is doing is it's checking with Fal.com how far along that generation is. If I get rid of this though, what we're going to use is the one from the HTTP request, because we're going to set up a looping module. You need to make sure your API key is connected, because what you'll see on the right hand side here is we've got different statuses. So if it's completed, we want to use this if statement to continue the process and download it. But if it's not completed, then we want it to go through a false branch, and then it will keep looping round and round and round until that generation is completed. If it has completed, then we can simply come through and we're going to use this next request here of fetching request status. This is going to enable us, as we can see here, to extract the request ID. So if we come back to here, put across the request ID, what it's going to do is actually download the contents for us. So if we come out of here, we'll see that we've got the key, we'll do execute step, and we're going to get all of the latest information for us to use. We're going to get the video URL here. So for example, if I copy this and open it in a new web page, is that video ready to go for us to use? But how do we get it into Airtable? Well, that's where we've got to do a few simple things. First of all, we're going to put across that video URL as a GET request, because it's going to download it into our n8n workflow. If I just show you, as we can see, we've got that video ready to go in the background. For us to store it in our column here as a merged video, we actually need to convert it into something called base 64 string. What this is a super long text string that's going to contain all of the information about that video for us to then basically replicate it and store it successfully in Airtable. If we come out of here, I'll just show you the data. As you can see, we got a super long string text field, which is going to contain all of that information, but is quite a lot. So what we're going to do is come out of here. We're then going to use this detailed HTTP request, which again, plus HTTP, we're then going to use this command in here, which is going to go through and store it in the correct row. But how does it know where? Well, if I open up this URL, we're going to need to make a few changes for your instance. As you can see here, I've got an app ID, and if you come across to your Airtable, up the top in your URL, you'll see app ID. You just need to copy that and paste into here. I've also used the ID, which has come from right at the start. So if I was to get rid of that, come back to where we've got update status in progress, which is the one from earlier on in Airtable, we can pull that ID across so it knows what row to store it in. We're then adding in the column title here, which in this use case is called merged video. If you've got any spaces between your words, you just need to put a percentage and 20 there to make sure it completes that URL for us to use. And then we're simply telling Airtable we need to upload an attachment. Unfortunately, at the moment, if I just do plus, Airtable doesn't enable us to do any uploads directly within their nodes. So we have to use this HTTP request. If I open this up, and we come down, we also need to tell it how we're storing that data and what that data is. In this use case, the content type is a video MP4 file. The file data is all of this data from that base 64 string. So you just need to make sure you pull that across so it can work. The file name, I've simply got rid of this. If we come back to the start, I'm actually using the video title that is currently stored in the first column within Airtable. Now what we'll see is if I execute the step, we'll get 2 merged videos within our last request. So if I just run this in the background, any second now we should get that updated video being stored in this specific row. So we're just going to refresh this and we'll check out if it's done it. So there we go, we've now got the 2 videos for us to use. So the last but not least is we're just updating our status to go from in progress to be done down here. So that's how we're able to go through and merge different videos together. But what if we want to go through and add some audio over the top? Well, that's where we need to use the second request of merge audio to video with FFmpeg. Again, we're able to use the API requests, so let's walk through it nice and slow. We're going to open up the last execution just so that we can see step by step how it worked. So I've just loaded it in, and as we can see here, it's that same record ID as the one that we just processed in the past. If we come out of here, we're also going to update that status again to in progress, and then we're going to use that HTTP request, but instead this time we're sending it to the merge audio video endpoint. If you want to find this from scratch, it's going to be this submitter request, curl request here, and as you can see, we need to pass across the video URL and the audio URL as well. What we're going to do is come back across. If I come down to the bottom here, we're going to add our API key in. You'll then see that you can use the JSON as the actual body content, and then you can use the fields below if you want to. This is going to make it nice and easy for you to see what data is going across. We need to define the video URL, which in this use case is going to be that merged video that we just generated. So we're going to get rid of this in here, and then we're going to look on the left-hand side for our merged video column, as you can see here. Now, if I pull that across, as we can see, we're putting in the URL for that specific video. The audio as well, as you can see, we've got a column called audio, so we just need to come back up to that audio and put across the URL. So now we've got the video data and the audio data. We can start that process again within Fal.com. Exactly the same as before. We then need to loop through until that generation is complete, still using that requests status update and having our API key in there. As you can see, it's already completed straight away. So now we're just going to come through and download the audio. If I open this up, same as before, passing across that request ID, and now we've got the URL of the audio and video actually merged. So if I just open it up on a new, as we can see here, we've got it ready to go. So same as before, now we need to come through, download that video using a GET request. We've got the video into n8n now for us to use. We're then going to convert it to that base 64 string, that super long text string that describes everything in the data. And then we're going to use the same request, but with a slight change. As you can see here, we're going to use the same app ID as the one before. We're also going to now say that we're using the status update, which if I get rid of this, come back to the start, put across that ID, and that's what we're using. Now we're storing it in the merged video audio column, which is going to be this one here. And then we're just saying we're uploading an attachment. If we come out of here and come down, we've got our API keys added in. We're then opening this up. And because we've got the result as an MP4 file, we also need to say our content type is MP4. The same as before, we're then adding in all of that file data from our base 64 string, and then we're going to go through and give it the file name of our first column as well. So now if I execute that step, what we should see is it executes successfully in the background, and we should get a new video being added in at the end, as you can see there. So now we've got the two videos in Airtable for us to use. And that's how we can simply and easily go through and merge lots of different videos and audio together. This is just the start of FFmpeg. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything else you'd love to see. Definitely come across to the community if you want to learn more about AI and automation. We've got lots of different content and great people in there. Of course, stay tuned for more around AI, automation, and have a great day.